Hi and welcome back to Box Delights. Today we're playing a game called Nimbee by Nick Case. Nick's a friend of mine. He's sent me this copy to show you. I really like it. Anything with this kind of theme is always going to grab my attention. I love these kind of nature themes. He's made a little bit of a mistake. These are honeybees. So these bumblebees here, they don't live in hives and make honey. But imagine they're honeybees. But hey, if that's the only thematic mistake, then we're on good territory. And it is, because these guys, these look like honeybees. And the idea of this game is that we're competing to be the alpha bee, the Nimbee, the bee who scores the most points. I'm going to set up a two-player game. In fact, I'm going to play it solo. I'm going to play solitaire against like a dumb opponent. My dumb opponent is just going to move as much as he can and take as many points as he can. That'll make sense when I show you the game. We're going to play 2 rounds because it's 2 players. And in the middle here of the hive is the bee, the queen bee. This is very much a Rondelle game, and it centres around the Rondelle, and the Rondelle's kind of become the whole game, and it's very significant. Nick kind of describes this as a filler game. It's a little bit more than that because it can play a little bit longer than a filler game. If you're playing 2, it is quite short, and it does depend on how much players want to think ahead and look ahead and plan their turns. But the Rondelle here, we travel in a clockwise rotation. We'll have different actions, and these different actions are going to allow us to interact with the queen, visit different flowers in the meadow, and earn honey pots and the queen's favour. These honey pots and queen's favours are all about getting us to move around the Rondelle more quickly. The more quickly we move around the Rondelle, the more often we can go visit the meadow, and the more often we visit the meadow, the more points we can grab. Okay, so we're going to be running round and round and round, visiting the meadow, collecting points. Let's set up this meadow. The meadow consists of these flower cards here. There's some actions in here as well, which add a little bit of variety. We're going to deal, there you go, there's one already, 2 bees in a pod. We're going to deal 12 of these, and each one of these cards has got a points value on it. Here's a 5, here's a 6, 3. These are our victory points as we go into the meadow and we visit these flowers. We're collecting those flowers, we're collecting those points, we're collecting the nectar from those flowers. Alright, and that's going to be our route to becoming the Nimbee. Let's dive straight in and show you how this works. We get a player board, and on this player board it shows us that we start with 1 honey pot. 1 honey pot grants us 1 movement. For every additional honey pot we collect, and we can collect up to 2 more, will gives us an additional movement. Right, movement around the Rondelle and around the meadow's flower path. These extras down here, these are bonuses that we can get from winning the queen's favour. I'll show you how it works as we dive into gameplay. I'm red, I'm going to be first player. This is the turn track, up to 4 players as you can see. But this spot here denotes the fact that the queen bee always moves first, and the first thing she's going to do is move out of the centre of the hive into this spot here. Always. The game always begins the same way. And you'll find actually, because now it's the first player's turn, my turn, the first turn of the game always begins the same way. What we can do is we can return from the hive, from the meadow into the hive. We're following one of these 2 yellow arrows back into the hive, and we're going to start moving around. We're going to try and come out of here again into the meadow, up the flower path, collecting points. Now remember, we only have 1 movement, so we can come in here or we can come in here. Now as it goes, we can't occupy, if we choose to come in here, we can't occupy the same spot as the queen bee, so we automatically walk to the next section of the hive. Okay, so whether we come in here or whether we come in here, we're always going to end up here. Now once we've completed our 1 move, that's all we've got for the start of the game, we then have to execute the action of the hex that we've landed on. This one is the swap, and there's 2 actions we can take here. We can either swap positions with the queen bee, we can do this, or we can swap positions on the turn track. Okay. Swapping positions on the turn track at this stage isn't going to get us very far. It means we do this, and the bee that we swap places with will take the next turn. So it kind of resets the turn order track, if you like. So then it will be white player, then me again, and then back to queen bee. So we've not really achieved very much. Whereas if we swap places with the queen bee, now we've finished our movement on another spot of the hives, another space, and this is the +1 honeypot space. We take one of these delicious honeypots and we place it on our board. Alright, that's it, we've ended our turn. Now it's the time for the white, our dumb bee. And all they're going to do is move as many spaces as they can. So the furthest space that they can move to is, if they choose to go in here, and they automatically walk one space forward because they can't share a spot with the queen bee, that gets them the furthest round the rondelle. Okay, so that's their dumb move, if you like. Now their reward, landing on this spot, is to take the first flower on the flower path. This number 5. And this will grant them some extra movement points. Okay, if we look down at the white player's player board, if this were a 2, 3 or a 4, it would give them +1 movement. It's a 5, a 6 or a 7 +2, 8 to 10 and +3. So they place this flower here. That's going to give him +2 movement on his next turn. Pretty good start for our opponent. Now it's the queen bee's turn once more. And the queen bee is just going to move forward to the next empty spot. That's all she's going to do. She's going to keep moving around like so. Okay, and that's not too bad actually, because now it's my turn. I've got a choice. I could either move forward 1 and then swap places with the with the queen bee and leave me here on the honey pots, or I could use my honey pot and move 2 spots. Okay, and that will mean I can move 1. And here I've got a choice, because when you move with your 1 movement point, you can do one of 2 movements. You can walk 1 space forward like this, or you can do a fly, and a fly says you leap over all the occupied spots to the next vacant spot, all the way around here. This is the swap position, so I could move back with where the queen is. That hasn't got me any advantage at all. Or I could swap places. So the advantage here might be he's going to move, and he's going to walk, he's going to move 3, so he's going to fly first, and then he's going to move again down into the meadow. So he's got 3 movement, so that would be 1, 2, with 1 movement left. He's actually going to take this card here. I'm thinking ahead a little bit here. Whereas if I just go here and swap, he's going to fly 1, 2, 3, and he's going to take, yeah, let's do that. Let's just move the 1 forward. We're going to finish here. I'm going to keep my honey pot. We'll swap places with the queen. We finish here and take another honey pot. Leaves me with 2. And yeah, that'll do it. That'll end my turn. Now it's the dumb bee, and he's got 3 movement. So he's going to fly 1, 2. We're spending this, so this gets discarded. This goes to a discard pile. And then 3 down into the meadow. Now the meadow action says move again, but this time you're going to move down the flower path. And this is why I didn't want him to move twice, 1, 2, because he would have taken that prize. Instead, with his 1 movement, he's going to move just 1 spot down the flower path and take this action card, 2 bees in a pod. And this is just going to allow our white bee to now share the queen's spot for the rest of the game. So when he moves, he doesn't jump over queen bee, he occupies the same spot as queen bee. Alright, it's breaking the rules a little bit with that action card. Okay, queen bee moves forward. Then it's red player's turn. Now I've got potentially 1, 2, 3 movement. 1, 2, 3. I could come down into the meadow and take this number 6 now. So why don't I do that? 1, spend 2, 2, 3. Now I can walk 1 spot up the flower path, claim the number 6. And this gets put aside. This is where the position of the queen bee can make a big difference. Imagine if she'd moved prior to my turn. Queen bee moves, and she's going to jump over here, or fly over here. Now it's my turn, and I've got potentially 3 movement. So my first movement will walk me in here, and I could come down here with 1 honey pot, and then I could end my turn here. Now I've got 2 movement, so when I go out into the meadow, I could potentially go 1, 2. I don't want that number 3, I just want this one, this number 6. So I'm not going to spend this honey pot. So just 1 movement from the meadow, number 1 movement. I'm going to take this flower card, and this becomes my points for the end of the game. Okay, white player now, they've just got one movement, they're going to move as far along as they can get. When they hit this spot, they always swap places with Queen B. Alright, that's their dumb move. Queen B moves, and it's back to me. And this is how it's going to go on. Now, ultimately, what you'll have seen is at the end here, at the end of the path, there's a little stack of cards. There's as many cards here as there are players, so I've got 2 here. This one is worth 14 points. The rest will earn up to 10 points. So these 14 points are pretty valuable, right? Once a player takes this card here, then we reset. We'll flip over this one and we'll get another end path. So by resetting, I mean we're going to deal out another 12. We'll create a new flower path, right? This is like the second round of the game, if you like. The second cycle. For now though, let's push on. So I can't remember if I moved the queen. I think I did, didn't I? Yes, swap. The queen moves forward. Right, my turn. I'm gonna go. I could come here. I could come here. Let's go here. Swap places with Queenie. Save my honey pot for now. And I've got the Queen's Reward, which is card that's furthest back. Alright, so I'm going to take the number 3. Not sure if that's wise or not. It's going to go here in the 2 to 4 spot. Will give me 1 extra movement. Let's see what happens. Because he's going to move forward 1 spot. That's his movement. He's going to grab the 8. That's going to go in here and give him 3 movement. Queen moves forward. Now I've potentially got a good move here. I could move 1, 2, plus 1, 3. Now my turn, I've got potentially 3 movement. So I could be going 1, 2, 3 down into the meadow. So let's do that. We'll spend the honey pot. We'll spend this card. So discard. We're going to go 1. That's our first walk. 2. Now I can't fly over here. Okay, as 2 like that. Because the rules say the meadow, you have to treat it as always occupied. Remember, flying says you find the next unoccupied spot. You can't fly around here. You have to come out into the meadow and then back in. But you can't do that in 1 turn, so I can't go fly like that. Okay, you have to, once you enter the meadow, finish your movement there. Alright, so it's 2, I walk in here, and then 3 to move out into the meadow. And now I've still got my 1 base movement left to do the action, which means I can grab this flower, the first one on the path. That leaves me with 14 points. Pretty good. Okay, what's next? White player next. Well, they can only walk down into the meadow. Remember, they can't exit. They're not going to use their extra movement, but they're always going to move as much as they can. That's as far as they can move, and they're always going to try and grab as many points as they can. So this card here would give them plus 3 movement. That would be 4. You can't partially move. You can't use only part of your movement. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. It would take high version, which is not point scoring. So instead, they're going to just take the 1 movement and save their extra 1. They're just going to take this one here. Under the dumb player rules, they would use as much movement as they can to move down this flower path. Okay, if there was another action here and they had to choose one. Okay, that's white done. Queen moves forward. Red, what am I going to do next? There's a good movement here. I can come out, swap places with the queen, and that'll put me here. Or I could come out and grab a honey pot. I think I'm going to do that one. White's going to come out, and they've got their plus 3 movement. So they're going to fly out here, then use their plus 3 to go 1, 2, 3. I suppose they could fly here, couldn't they? Yeah. 1, 2, 3 into the meadow. They've got a base 1 movement left. I'll grab this flower here. Another 3 points. Right, queen moves. Red. I've only got 1 movement, so there's only 1 place for me to go. And I'm going to grab the Queen's Reward, which is this 3. Incidentally, there's 2 options for Queen's Reward. You can promote a flower that's already sitting here, so you can either take the one from the bottom of the trail or you can move one up. Right, so sometimes that can be the better option, especially if the spot you're trying to fill is already filled. You can't have more than one card here. Alright, white's turn. They're going to just move as far as they can, swap places with the queen. Queen moves forward. I'm going to move down in here, and that's actually worked out well because I can use my +1 movement now to skip over high version, which gives you the option of when you hit here just carrying on round. Okay, but we don't want to use that. What we're going to do instead is use our 2 movement to go 1, 2 and take the 9-point flower. Pretty sweet. Now anything that gets skipped over in the flower path just gets discarded. So we've just got Busy Bee and 14 left now. White's just got 1 movement, so he's going here and swapping places with Queen. That was rather dumb. Queen moves forward. Now it's my turn. If I come in here, I could swap places with Queen. White's going to move forward 1. Swap places with Queen. Just keep pushing backwards. Maybe the dumb move should be only swap if it doesn't push you further back. Instead change the player order. Because what would happen here is that I would then get to go again, move down, but I'm going to end up with Busy Bee, +1 turn. Which isn't so bad, as Queen's going to move forward, then White's going to go. There's no reward now. You can't take the final path reward. Yeah, I don't think I can stop him taking that. Because I come out, swap places with Mother. Queen Bee moves forward. This one comes in, takes the 14-pointer. Yeah, that didn't really work out, did it? Okay. This flips over, we reset. And we'll play again. This time we've got a -7 at the end, so this changes your strategy a little bit, because you want to try and, instead of trying to race towards this 14 points, you're trying to slow down and make the other person take it. So still a little bit to play for. As it goes right now, the scores are 23 to me and 21 to White. So I don't know, if you're playing solo, just try and beat your best score, try and beat your best margin of victory. That would be a nice idea. Obviously playing multiplayer, this one's going to work really nicely. You're going to have more bees here on the Rondelle and switching positions, swapping with Queen Bee, trying to figure out who is best placed to take those high point flowers from the flower path is going to be a lot more exciting and a lot more interesting. That was it. That was all I wanted to show you. This one has only just been released. Try and pick it up if you can. I think there's a short print run. I'm not sure if this is hitting retail, or I know it's finished on Kickstarter, how many retailers picked up copies, but it's a nice little fun game. You can play this one with your family as well, because it's not complicated, it's just a strategy that can really turn you in circles. Thanks for watching, see you next time.